Welcome, everybody. It is August 5th. We're in executive session. I apologize for taking a little bit longer. Right now, it is 6:37 according to my watch. And those attending tonight's meeting should be aware that the meeting is being audio and video recorded by ASRSD. And any audience members who wish to record any part of the meeting must inform the chair, who will announce the recording. This is to comply with the Massachusetts wiretap statute. The listings of matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. I'll call the regular meeting to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Forge?
Aye.
Mrs. Granger?
Aye.
Mr. Leone?
Aye.
Mrs. Reschutz?
Okay.
I don't know if you want
Mrs. Simmons?
Nope.
Michelle there?
Michelle probably ordered. Yeah, Mrs. Simmons will probably join us. Should we wait for her?
She's there in the video. Cheryl, you there?
Because we do have a.
Hold on. I'll text her. 1 second.
Is she muted?
I'm just the lid. I found the jars, but I can't find
Might
the
have
lid.
to ask everyone to mute themselves.
If you identify yourself,
Those are you found lids. Those
your
are
name and where you're from, if you have public participation.
yeah,
No, hold on, Joyce. It's just a
but I can't find any.
we need to have people mute. That's all.
No, I'll give it a. No, we're muted. We're fine. No,
Can't
it's
hear
just
anyone.
meeting.
Oh, there's Cheryl.
Here's Cheryl. Welcome, Cheryl. Jill Simmons here. Everybody can hear me, right?
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Moving on to item 8, hearing no public participation or seeing none. Number 8 is the consent agenda, the approval of the June 24th, 2020 regular session meetings for release. And I don't seem to have the warrant memo, so if someone has that, if they would read it. Ah, there it is. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Okay, the warrant memo is warrant number 1175 dated 6/30/2020 for $235.29 for meals tax. Warrant number 1176 dated 6/30/2020 for $798.51 for merchant services. AP warrant number 1177 dated 6/30/2020, $84,035.06. AP warrant 1021 dated 7/24/2020 for $248,017.26. Payroll warrant number 3 dated 7/31 for $188,825.26 biweekly payroll. Payroll warrant 3.1 dated 7/31/2020 for $369,952.90 teacher summer payroll. Payroll warrant 3.2 dated 7/31/2020 for $741.60 FY20 payroll. That's the only thing on the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to pass the consent agenda?
So moved. This is Jonathan. So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, can I just, there's a couple of just misspellings that I see in my version of the minutes.
Okay.
If you look on the 3rd page of the minutes in that first paragraph. Wait a minute, hang on. Yeah, so the 3rd sentence down, there's just a couple of, like a misspace between Granger and commented, a G at the end of that. Is anyone seeing that?
Yep.
Minutes.
Michelle to Michelle. I think Michelle is seeing that.
I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, no worries. I just happened to notice it as I was scrolling through. So
Anything else from anybody?
I didn't hear an answer. I don't know if you heard my question. What was the merchant services on June 30th for 798?
Is Bill with us?
Yes, those are bank fees for payments to online payments for either food service or childcare.
Thank you.
Anything else from anybody else? There's a motion to pass the consent agenda. Is there a second?
second.
Is there a second? Okay, thank you. Michelle, we need a roll call, please.
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. We're down to new business number 9, adopt revised 2021 school year calendar by Dr. Malone.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The school committee adopted the school year calendar on January 20th, 2020 for the 2021 school year prior to the pandemic. And the calendar that you originally approved is in the drive. And we're all well aware of what's happened and the pandemic and such. The Commissioner of Education came to a memorandum of understanding with the teachers union in the state to provide teachers 10 days of time to prepare for the opening of schools, to participate in professional development, to be trained in the health protocols and in various other activities to be prepared for the opening of schools. So while I'm not tonight, I'm just asking the school committee so that parents are clear on a start date and an end date. And there may be some other changes as we go along. Remember, we all have to be flexible and adaptable. But at this time, based on the teacher's start time, are you pulling that up that calendar, Michelle? Can it be enlarged at all for the audience? But at this time, what I'm proposing, the school committee, what I've amended and what I'm asking the school committee to vote on is the teachers will still return on August 31st, and they will have those 10 days. So it would be the 31st, September 1st, 2nd, September 3rd, September 8th, September 9th, September 10th, 11th, 14 and 15 would be the 10 days. And the instruction for all students, whether we're in person or we're in hybrid or we're remote, will begin on September 16th. The school year, so the commissioner amended the 180-day school year required for students to 170 days. So technically speaking, the 170th day for the students will be June 14th. Now, I just want to add a couple of pieces, and I hope I'm not going to cause confusion. So what I'm asking the school committee tonight is to approve that the school year for the students, the instruction, begins on September 16th for 170 days of school, which puts the final day of school at June 14th. There have been no changes made to the calendar at this time. But again, you know, we're getting a lot of questions from parents about when are we going to start? Do I have enough time to prepare and buy school supplies and all of those things? So the other piece to this is typically when we start a school year, we have 2 days of professional development built into the teacher's calendar. And that would be on August 31st and September 1st of this year. So I'm trying not to cause confusion, but we haven't used those days yet, those 2 days. So if, whatever model we move into, if there's a chance we have to pivot, as I said, the word of the week, among or between models, I would maybe like to use those days to give teachers a day of professional development or preparation to pivot to a different model. So therefore, it could change the end day for students because we have to end for 170 day for students. So it could mean the last day could be the 15th or the 16th. That's just being transparent. But for right now, the school calendar for students, 170-day school calendar, instruction for students will begin in any one of the models that get selected on September 16th. Their final day for 170 days at this time is June 14th. And that's what I'm asking the school committee to approve this evening. And I'll obviously take any questions you may have.
Any questions or comments?
I just have one comment. I think I like your idea of those professional days being used if you have to pivot. If there's going to be a switch in how things are done, I think it's really important that teachers have that day to be able to make that adjustment as best they can, because we all know in March, we were just, the governor shut everything down and it was kind of chaotic. So
yeah,
that's all.
Anybody else? Thank you, Cheryl. I would just note one thing that if we do have a hybrid, that November 3rd professional development day, would that be better if it was switched to Wednesday, to the 4th instead of the 3rd? Is that possible?
Well, I'm going to respectfully ask people to mute themselves, please. The November 3rd day, I think is too early to discuss that, Joyce. That is election day. That is the election day. That is the election day, and typically, we're in a co-op with 2 other districts, as you know, that PD plan. So I'm not prepared to even speak to November 3rd at this time. So, I mean, as I said, the caveat to this is that there could be some changes. I could be coming back to you again to approve amendments to this calendar. But for right now, I'm asking that we inform parents that instruction for all students, whether it be in person, hybrid, or remote, will begin on September 16th. This provides the teachers the 10 days for them that is agreed upon and that are not negotiable to move around. Those days can't be banked, and I respect that, and that's fine. I believe they need those 10 days. I just said that the 2 PD days that we typically have, let's call them floaters, if you will. And the only change that would have to be made if we were to use those PDs and inform parents that there'd be no school for students, say, October 30th, then we would have to add 1 day to the school year so that the students complete the 170 days.
Anybody else? I would accept a motion to approve this calendar, labeled revised August 3rd. This would be approved on August 5th. Is there a motion to that effect?
I make a motion to accept the revised calendar dated August 3rd, 2020.
Second.
Michelle, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Details.
Thank you.
More fun. Item number under new business under B is anti-racism resolution. Dr. Malone, would you like to present that?
Sure. So this resolution, many districts have signed on to this resolution. It's actually through MASC. I know, Jonathan, if you want to comment about it, but would somebody like to read it? And then, I would recommend that the school committee adopt this anti-racism resolution, to guide our school district and to make public our commitment to anti-racism in our school and in our schools, and that we will be working on this as school opens and over time.
Mr. DeForge, would you like to read that since you seem to be familiar with it, or?
Sure, I will apologize in advance if my microphone picks up the dog that's barking behind me. School Committee Anti-Racism Resolution. Whereas, as schools have the responsibility to equip students with their civil right of obtaining a free and appropriate public education, it is the responsibility of each school to ensure we are creating a welcoming community for all students. And whereas it is the responsibility that every district provide all district staff, including school committee members, annual professional development on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and whereas every district will commit to recruiting and retaining a diverse and culturally responsive teaching workforce, and whereas every district will examine their policies for institutional and systemic racialized practices and implement change with sustainable policies that are evidence-based, and whereas every district will incorporate into their curriculum the history of racial oppression and works by Black authors and works from diverse perspectives, and whereas we school district leaders can no longer remain silent on the issues of racism and hate that continue to plague our public and private institutions, resolved that the Air Shirley Regional School District and all the school districts in the Commonwealth must guarantee that racist practices are eradicated and diversity, equality, and inclusion is embedded and practiced for our students, families, faculty, and staff. We must ensure our own school culture and that of every district in the Commonwealth is anti-racist and that acknowledges that all lives cannot matter until Black lives matter. And then the listing below is the districts that have already approved this.
I didn't count them, but it's a lot.
Yes, it's a many, and certainly as districts begin to meet more often in the summer months coming back to school, we've seen some more groups that have said that they've approved it as well. As you can see, some did some local modifications to their anti-racism resolution as well. So that's the.
Do you have any comments or discussion from the
So
board?
where did this come from? Who wrote this?
I believe it was through MASC, so Mass Association of School Committees. If not, it was done by one of the member districts and then generalized for use across the state.
All right, is this something that should go to the subcommittee?
You know, it's interesting you say that, because as I was reading it, I picked up on a couple pieces of language that we sort of talked about in the diversity subcommittee 2 weeks ago. I believe it was Mrs. Arrington who talked about not using the word anti-racism, but using the word inclusionary. So I would not necessarily be opposed either to that, Joe, to having the diversity subcommittee review that and make suggested local changes as well.
Okay, so can I make a motion that this go to the subcommittee before we bring it back to the school committee for a final vote?
Do you know what the timeline would be on that, Joe?
Well, we have a meeting tomorrow night, so it could be, it's not on the agenda, but I can, we do have an other on the agenda, so I could bring it up. So I would say that it's very possible that we could have it for the meeting after that. But I would think maybe the meeting after. So not the 13th, but maybe our meeting after that.
Right. So this is what you get many times from Massachusetts Associated School Committee. It's very thoughtful and generalized, so I think it's a step in the right direction for a lot of people just to state it out loud and have a resolution. Resolutions mean that that the Massachusetts Association of School Committees will campaign for that. And so it's, you know, that's the step it goes in. And they figured it probably didn't want to wait until the November meeting. So somebody put it on now.
Family, they had a family reunion.
Pardon?
I'm pretty sure that November meeting has been canceled, hasn't it?
They're talking about it.
Yeah, no, they did cancel. They'll probably do a virtual.
Oh, okay.
The virtual phone.
Yeah.
Does everybody
So
agree?
I'm sorry, did someone make a motion? Because I'll second it if they did. If not,
I did.
Motion's actually been
Yes,
made yet?
yeah, I just want to say, I think this looks really good, but I would like to have our subcommittee take a look and offer any suggestions or input that they might have.
If someone wishes to motion to table this then to our next meeting, then we will decide that then.
Yeah, wasn't that the motion that I made, basically?
Right. You have a motion on the table, so the
I'm having
motion,
trouble hearing Joe. Joe, speak up.
I made a motion that this should go to the subcommittee, the Equity and Diversity Subcommittee for review, and then brought back to the school committee for a vote.
Okay, Michelle, are you seconding that?
Yep.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. All in favor? Michelle?
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Joe. New business, item C, school choice 2021 school year. Dr. Malone.
yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So the school committee voted in June to continue to be a school choice district. And as we enter a school year, that we could be in 2 different models or 3 different models, and we have districts around us that are many are going for the hybrid model, but started to think about school choice, and that as we plan for our students, we're planning very precisely for students that are going to ride the bus, and not that school choice students are eligible for transportation. They're not, but as we plan classrooms and rosters and such, I was thinking that we may that we could rescind this vote for this year, but I did contact the Department of Secondary and Elementary Education, and I am waiting for them to get back to me because the individual I spoke with, Mr. O'Donnell, didn't think it could be rescinded, but then he said, well, let me think about it, because I was putting forward some cases such as if our district was in person or in a hybrid model, and a district next to us wasn't, and parents wanted to apply for school choice to take advantage of a model, that I really did not think, that we're planning for the current enrollment. Obviously, if anyone moves into our district, we welcome anyone who would move in, and we would bring them into our school system. But I'm just wondering that for this year, if school choice might be something that we wouldn't be interested in, given all of the conditions and tenuous situation that we're in, given we don't know, how COVID is going to act. So it's about, the school committee, and if you would like me to pursue this, I will, because it will take some follow-up in pursuing. But if the school committee feels that we just want to leave it, so I'm just looking for direction from the school committee.
I have a question, please. And if you already answered this, I'm sorry I missed it. Would this impact students that are already choiced, that have been in, that are longstanding choice into our district?
No,
Okay.
no.
So this would just be new students electing to choice in. Okay, one of the questions that popped up in the chat, which I think is a good point, was how do we handle students of teachers that are currently in our district? Are they automatically allowed to choice in? I apologize for not knowing this, or do they apply like everybody else, or how does that work?
Well, we haven't had a lot of teachers wanting to choice in their students, but certainly if they did, because we're a school choice district, they are accepted. Now, the state is working on a plan for teachers who will go back to work in hybrid or in person. And if the district that their children in are not in that same model, he is working on a plan, but we don't have anything definite at this time. One thing I will say at this time, I've been working with Susan Knoll over at the Laura White. Mrs. Knoll, as you know, runs the before and after school program over there. And I'm just going to turn to give you some information, and also with ACP, which is our full day childcare over at the Page Hilltop, and working with both of them to talk about, them serving, providing childcare for teachers in a district. That if we're able to open up the Laura White extended day program to be a day program, that teachers would have the first option for filling those slots. But I don't have anything definite on it because we still have to work out some details, about spacing and things like that. So we have that we're working on. And again, I'm not sure what the Department of Secondary and Elementary Education is going to end up proposing, but I know that the commissioner is very well aware of a teacher may, have a model in their district where they're employed that is different from the district where their children attend.
Okay, thank you.
So, if you want, I guess this is directional. If you want me to continue to pursue it, I can, and I will. And if you think it might be better to just, whatever is the will or direction of the committee is where I'll go.
Any other questions or comments on that?
No, I guess if you're looking for direction, I would say pursue it, and then we can, keep that issue in the back of our mind as something to think about when we hear from the commissioner about that plan, and just once we hear if it's something we could pursue either way.
Okay, and it may, it may not even be an option that the school committee could rescind that choice, but I'll continue to pursue it. It's sort of like, I guess I think about it sometimes because we offer full day kindergarten. Sometimes people in nearby districts want to apply for free all day kindergarten, and then they leave us at the end of kindergarten and go back to their home district. So I'm kind of framing it in that respect.
Yeah.
Hasn't it been kind of based on case by case anyway? So
Well, it's based on enrollment, but we didn't, we don't have a cap. And one of the suggestions was that we could, put out applications and hold a lottery and then cap it off. So I'm waiting to hear back from Mr. O'Donnell, who I contacted, and he's busy too. So everybody's busy. So everything is a process. It takes a while. So if that's what the school committee agrees, that for me to continue to pursue it and bring back whatever I find out.
Yeah, I think I don't think we're ready to make a decision on that at this point.
Yeah, no.
So we keep school choice in, because we have kids who are already in school choice.
Oh yeah, those students would not. Those students would not be impacted, Joyce. Those students stay. Once you accept a student in school choice, they stay through 12th grade.
And so some kids were already accepted for school choice, so unless they decide to opt out of that, they were already accepted for school choice.
They've already been accepted. That's what I just said. If you've been accepted, then we wouldn't rescind that, right?
Sorry, I just kind of got lost.
Yeah, no. There's a question in the chat too, so I'm responding to that as well.
All right. Superintendent's report.
I don't have.
The thing is a superintendent's report.
I don't have one this evening.
Thank you. Ongoing business. Mr. Plunkett, FY20 and FY21 budget updates, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Two items I would like to go over concerning the FY20 and FY21 budgets. The FY20 closeout. We are getting close to the end of the year, and our general fund budget is in good shape. We had a general fund budget of $29,710,874, Year-to-date expenditures in the general fund are $29,042,238.70, leaving an unexpended balance of $668,635.30. We have encumbrances for purchases that were promised before the end of the year. We have several projects going on right now that we will be paying for in FY21, but they will be assigned to FY20. Of encumbrances equal $384,927.55, leaving a budget balance of $283,707.75. We do have one pre-encumbrance, which is an invoice that just came in. We will still be paying bills from FY20 through the end of August. The last warrant in August will be closed, and we will not be paying any more bills after the end of August. During FY20, we knew food service was going to be an issue, and fortunately, it wasn't. Because of the fund balance they had to start with. We were in the red by $8,581. That will have to be reclassed to the general fund. Because of all the wages that we paid at the end of the year for the staff, while they were not bringing in any revenue. While we've been doing the food distributions, the reimbursements from the states are very low because we're providing bagged lunches. It's the free and reduced rate. It's about 40 cents a meal. So the reimbursements are going to be really low going forward into this new year as well. So it's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. Will be revenue for the food service program in FY21 as well. One of the things from the COVID closure that we knew was going to happen. So we're going to be reclassing that $8,500 to the general fund, and we'll probably have to do that again in FY21, just to make sure everybody's aware of that, because that cannot be in a deficit. That fund cannot be in a deficit balance. As for FY21, the Baker-Polito administration and the legislature have passed a interim 3-month budget of $16,500,000,000, $16.5 billion. Governor Baker was basically writing 1 month at a 1 month's budget at a time. The legislature turned around and gave the state, or signed a 3-month budget, so the House and the Senate can spend some time working on the budget when they come back into session. So they were waiting to see what happens with the COVID pandemic, and to start working on, see if any more federal monies will be coming towards to the states in the stimulus packages. So they're going to be able to spend a little bit more time on the budget with that 3-month interim budget passed. So as far as our Chapter 70 budget for FY21, we had certified our budget with the governor's budget back in January 22nd. We budgeted exactly what the governor had said we were going to get at that point, was $8,352,131. Baker-Polito and the legislature have committed to the FY20 funding as a baseline for FY21. So that number for us, Air Shirley, is $8,301,431, which is a shortfall of $50,700, which is the increase we got in FY20. FY21. When the governor's budget came out, he had $30 per student. So we're basically, we've lost that. Our baseline now is exactly what we got in FY20. They are still working on this. There's supposed to be money built into the FY21 funding, the FY21 budget, for increases to school. But like we saw last year in FY20, Air Shirley probably won't receive much in the way of aid. That aid is targeted more towards gateway communities, gateway schools that are not at foundation. So that's where we stand for FY21 as far as funding. I believe we can absorb that $50,000 with other revenues that we budget conservatively for, regional transportation, Medicaid, and choice. We could probably make up those revenues, or at least wash that out, have no net effect on our budget for next year. Any questions on the budget updates?
Anyone? Bill, do we need to vote to reclass the food service to the general fund?
No, it'll be a reclass of expenditures.
Okay,
Just take the expenses out of the food service and bring them over to the general fund and create a line in the general fund for food service expenditures. And then we'll wipe out that deficit and take it on in the general fund. Like we have $283,000 right now as a budget balance. We are paying more bills, but we will net that out against that balance in the general fund.
if I'm not mistaken, I think we did the same thing last year, didn't we? We absorbed that deficit.
Food service was not in a deficit last year.
Than
We had
did before.
No, we've had quite a 3 or 4 good years here with the food
Okay.
service and a healthy fund balance.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions on that or comments from anyone, please? Okay, thank you so much, Bill. It's good to be kept up to date.
All right, thank
It's
you.
not always good news, but we'll do our best. Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Bill. Mary and Dr. Malone, we're opening for a discussion for the 2021 return to school plan.
Sure. We have a PowerPoint presentation for you this evening. So the purpose of tonight is to provide school committee more information on the plans that we have put forth, so some of the survey results and other items, and then to take your questions and to provide you a timeline for my recommendation and your vote. So next slide, please. Our vision and mission, of course, it grounds all that we do, providing the best education that we can in a safe, respectful, inclusive environment where every student develops the skills and core values needed to graduate and become a productive member of society, the global world. Sorry, next slide, please, Michelle. So tonight's presentation will have a proposed timeline. We're going to talk about transportation and the survey results. We do have preliminary results as of 5 p.m. today of the parents and teachers. Students, we do not have at this time. It took quite a bit of time to Mr. Cleary to get all of the student emails because we haven't rolled over our systems yet. But that survey to students in grades 5 through 12 was sent out late today. Talk about some of the classroom configurations and where we're working to get as close as we can to 6 feet. I'm going to give you an update on the personal protection equipment that we've purchased. I'm going to talk about the 3 models, and I have some miscellaneous items, and then I'll take questions, comments. Next slide, please. And I have the last presentation here for you if you needed to refer to it. So tonight, Wednesday, August 5th, we have a discussion with the school committee and proposed return to school plan. Monday, August 10th, I will submit the blueprint to you, which is the long form. The Department of Education was requiring that all districts submit the opening plan on August 10th, and I requested a waiver, and the district has been granted the waiver. And I apologize, I didn't put that in here. So anyhow, the blueprint that I'm writing, I'm also going to incorporate the pieces that the commissioner has required for us to send. I hope he doesn't mind, but instead of having to write 2 plans, we're going to submit 1. And I will include all of the topics that he wants information on. And so I'll get that to the school committee on the 10th, so you have it well in advance, and we can talk about it. Any school member can call me. On Thursday, August 13th, I will make a recommendation to the school committee on the opening model, and then the school committee will vote on the return to school plan. And then on Friday, August 14th, I have to submit, I do have it, I'm sorry. I have to submit the final plan to the Department of Education. Next slide, please. One of the things I wanted to, Mrs. Bozak had forwarded this to me, and I thought it was really powerful. And so she had sent a qualitative survey to the parents in the ESY program, the in-person one that we have. And she asked them, how do they feel ESY is going? Are there any things you feel that are working particularly well? Things that are not? How is your child feeling about coming each day? Any thoughts you would like to share with me to enhance this experience would be greatly appreciated. And this parent wrote, I believe the process from a parent perspective has been seamless. Drop off and pick up are a breeze. Everyone has masks. Students stand in line, spaced apart. Everything works. I believe this is a good precursor for the fall. My child seems to enjoy her day and there's no problem wearing a mask. I believe this is an A+ for everyone. Next slide, please. Transportation survey results. We sent that out, I think it was last week. And so we had 1,125 responses, and 75% of those who responded said their child will take the bus to school, and 24.9% said no. And the options were they would drive their child, or their child would drive to school, or the child would walk. Next slide, please. And the responses are pretty much, higher, a little higher. The middle school, Page Hilltop, around the same percentage as Laura White and Page Hilltop are 27 or 28 if you want to round it off, 29, and then 22. Next. Students' grades. So we got responses from most of the grades, and just gives you the breakdown, the pie chart, pretty evenly distributed. Next slide, please. So I'm going to have Mr. Plunkett talk about this. So one of the things that are critical to any opening is that, our busing. As you know, in last week's presentation, we presented that we have 12 buses that we contract with. We are not able to contract for additional buses with any of the bus companies at this time. ND Bus is not willing to, maybe it's a financial issue, which I understand, to take, buy more buses. So Bill, do you want to talk about the chart here, please?
Yes. So there's two tables here. The top table is that the hybrid model. This was hybrid model number 4, which basically split the classes by grade span, or split the enrollment by grade span. So this is 100% of the students from Air and Shirley who'd be riding the bus. Coming in cohort A, half of the students would come in on cohort A and half the students would come on cohort B. So for busing, we have 12 buses, like Dr. Malone said. We took the number of students that would be in from Page Hilltop and determined that with 26 students on one bus, we needed 8 buses. And then you go across to the right, you see cohort B. There's fewer students on that cohort, 206, but we still need 8 buses for the 26 students. What we found was we had to have a separate run for every school because we don't have enough buses to combine them into tiers of 2 like we have right now. Right now we have the high school, middle school together, and then 2 elementary schools split our 12 buses. So when you look at the cohorts, we have Page Hilltop and Laura White. We need 13 buses if we wanted to combine those runs. And the middle school and high school would be 15 for cohort A. And then very similar for cohort B, we need 14 buses for the elementary and 14 for high school, middle school. So it really does push the stagger times for each of the buildings, with the last school coming in close to 9:30 and going till almost 4 p.m. So the number to the right, the 1460, is the total students, Air and Shirley, that would be riding the buses, split over the cohorts. So we could do it, but we would need 4 runs or tiers. The bottom table was based on our registration information that we received over the last week. 75% of families responded that they would need transportation, or they would be using transportation. So that drops our numbers on the buses significantly. For the same setup as above, cohort A and B, we would need 6 buses for the high school, 5 buses for the middle school on cohort A. So that's 11 buses. We have 12. We could combine those two and do them at the same time. I apologize. The times are a little off on this. We would be starting at 7:50. Oh, no, those are correct. Those are the same schedules we have this year. I'm sorry. And cohort B for the high school, middle school, we would need 10 buses. Now, we know that we're going to be adding people to the buses as we go. People that initially said they weren't going to use transportation will be able to come on because we have a little bit of space built in with a bus or 2 for each of these runs. The elementary runs would look like they would need 10 buses total, 4 for LAW and 6 for Page Hilltop for both cohorts. And we could do that with our 12 buses and have extra room or an extra bus to utilize on those routes. So it is, the two tiers or 2 runs is possible with the registration information we have.
Any questions for Bill on this? Since it's kind of separate, I thought we'd ask for questions right now.
Madam Chair, go ahead. Madam Chair, you were going to say something. I'll defer to you.
I just, so this is, but actually everybody has the opportunity if they decide on Thursday that they can't drive their kid to school, that they can get on the bus, right? I mean, just because people say they use it now doesn't mean they're not going to use it when there's snow and ice on the ground.
Well, I'm going to answer that. So one of the things about the bus transportation is it's very strict. There can only be 26 students to a bus, and if we get a bus monitor, that means 25. The parents that register their students will receive a bus pass, and those students will need that pass to get on the bus because we would not be able, we would not want bus drivers to have to deal with not being able to carry all the students that are registered. So what we would need to happen, and we will put this in the blueprint, if things were to change and a family needed to take a bus, they would have to notify us first. They wouldn't just be able to send their child on the bus.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and quite a few parents wrote to me and said, well, I'm not really sure, Johnny can drive my younger student, but it may not work every day. And my advice was, if you think you may need to use the bus, register. That way, it's there for you.
I have a question.
Joe?
So I may have missed this, but why with the 100% enrollment is Page Hilltop, Laura White, why are they switched, that they're going earlier than the middle school and high school?
Oh, Joe, that was for demonstration purposes only. When I was building that, we realized that we're going to need the 4 tiers. So I just started assigning times, knowing that we could change the sequence any way we wanted to. And actually, we had some discussions about that. The high school said they might like to start later, but that was just for demonstration purposes only in that upper 100% table. And then the lower table shows the current tier runs as they are right now.
Okay. The only concern I would have with that is that a lot of parents use their older siblings, middle school, high school kids, to watch their the elementary school kids. And if the elementary school kids are getting home 2 hours earlier, that they won't be home to watch them.
Those times, we would change those times.
No,
Okay.
So Joe, that was just, so when we were looking at if we had a full in-person model, what were, we'd have to have 4 different tiers. So the bus company is approximately 45 minutes between runs.
Yeah.
So, so that's how we figured it. And, we just put some times in there. So I know that when we made the time change at the high school and went later, one of the models had the elementary students going in early, and the parents didn't want that. And I agree, we really wouldn't want our elementary students to be at bus stops, when it's dark out and such. It was just a model. It was just a model. To say, okay,
all right, thank you.
Work.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have a question, if I could.
Oh, Mr. Tully, would you identify yourself, please?
Yes, Steve Tully. I'm a high school teacher. I'm also the president of the Teachers Union. I had a question for Bill. Bill, did the schedule go out about the last students being picked up at 4 o'clock from school? Because I asked that because that's a change in the working conditions as far as the contractual hours.
Well, Steve, this is just an example to show how the.
Yeah.
No, I know that. I'm just asking if that was sent out yet to parents because it hadn't been changed yet. Okay. All right. Thank you.
No, this is just demonstration purposes that we know
Okay.
if we're going to bring all the students back, we would not be able to, we would have to have 4 different tiers, 45 minutes apart. That's all.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I'm just writing myself. Next
Are
slide.
you continuing or are you handing it back to Mary?
Yep. No, next slide, please. Okay, so this was just from last week. I'm just writing myself a note about, okay, sorry. So we had this slide last week. So the requirements for the bus are 26 students per bus. If we decide to go with the bus monitor, that would be 25. The masks are required for all students and the driver. There will be alternating assigned seating. So that's another piece, Joyce, to your question, that the students will have assigned seats and would be 1 student per bench with the exception of siblings. The windows need to be open, weather permitting, and then the schools, each individual school will establish the protocols for disembarking and embarking on the bus. So it's just a visual what it would look like for kids. Okay, so the survey results. We sent the survey to teachers and families early this morning, and as of 5 p.m., we had 722 families respond and 160 staff members. The blue, parents and guardians, the red is staff, and students are not on here at this time because, as I noted earlier, we got that survey out late. So we will get that information to you when we start getting the results. So in person, 25% of families would send their children back in person, and 9.7% of the staff would be are interested in coming back in person. The hybrid model, 32.4% of parents would send their children to the hybrid model, and 37.3% of the staff would also send their children. And then under the remote, fully remote, 40.6% of parents that they would offer that model, and then 53% of the staff that they want the full remote model. Next slide, please. And then those that said they would prefer the hybrid model, they had a logic question which brought them to indicate which model they liked. Again, parents and staff, we do not have the student data right now. So alternating weeks where cohort A would come in week 1 and be remote week 2, and then cohort B. 23.8% of parents like that model, while 14.3% of the staff like that model. The half days, where a cohort would come in the morning and then have remote in the afternoon, and the other cohort would be remote in the morning and then in person in the afternoon. 15% of the parents like that model, and 12.9% of the staff liked that model. Then we had the half day where all students are in the morning and then in remote for the afternoon. 10.8% of the parents preferred that model, while 12.9% of the staff preferred that model. And then the final model, the 2 days in and 3 days remote, almost 61% of the parents prefer that model and 57% of the staff. Next slide, please. Just to note, back on the parent survey, we had 2% of the families choose homeschool or the learning management system. I'll talk a little bit about that when I get to the models. So we're working on classroom configurations. In last week's presentation, I showed you the spreadsheet that Mr. Briggs had created where we have everyone listed. So as of right now, the high school in all of their classrooms are able to, if they have 20 students in the classroom, would have the front to back at 5 feet and then across at 5.5 feet. The A middle school, the middle school has these trapezoid desks. And right now we're at 3 feet by 3 feet and 20 to 22 students in the room, and we're still working on the middle school. Laura White, their kindergarten classrooms, right now I think there's about 17 students in each classroom, but they're able to obtain 6 feet front to back and side to side. First grade, they're at 5 feet. Second, third, and fifth grade, they're at 5 feet. And their largest class, the fourth grade, is at 3 by 3, 22. And these are, one of the things when we're looking at the building is right now, these are using the existing classrooms that we have, not making any changes to look at any other spaces in the classroom. The Page Hilltop Kindergarten, they're able, right now they have 16 students in each classroom, with just 4 classrooms. They're able to get 6 feet by 6 feet. The first grade's 4 feet by 5 feet. Second grade, they're able to get 5 feet front to back, and then 3.5 feet across. The third grade is 4 feet to 4 feet, and then fourth and fifth grade is 4 feet front to back and 5 feet side to side. And the numbers, you can see the numbers of seats on the side. Next slide, please. So just have some pictures here. This is the Laura White Kindergarten classroom where the desks are 6 feet apart. And thank you to Mrs. Lewis for submitting this photo to us. Next slide, please. This is the Page Hilltop first grade classroom with the desks 4 feet to 4.5 feet apart. Next slide, please. This is the middle school, and as you can see the trapezoid desks, and their whole building has these desks, and so we're looking at in some other options because they're a pretty big surface, and they take up a lot of space. Next slide, please. And this is the high school where the desks are approximately 6 feet apart, 20 desks in that classroom. Next slide. Any questions on these? Okay.
Anyone on the committee have a question or comment on that?
I have a question about it.
Identify yourself, please.
So this is Erica Span. I just have a question regarding if in fact we go to a in-person model, be it hybrid or completely in person, will the administration, being the superintendents, the principals, and also the school board, be doing some kind of data metrics regarding this? Because when I was listening to the parents' discussion that we had a couple of days ago, I remember it was about 57% of the teachers were, concerned about going back. So will there be some kind of daily data metrics regarding, administration and the school board going on the floor and reviewing exactly what the situation looks like? And the reason I ask that, just to give you an example so that you understand what I'm saying, is with me working in a hospital, for example, I work in a mental health hospital where we don't have medical rooms where we can, isolate the air, for instance. So whenever there's a situation where we had all of our housekeeping staff and our culinary staff were out with COVID, the directors, stepped up and took over those positions in order to assist the hospital and obviously provide care for our patients. So we took data metrics during that time frame. So if in fact this in-person model goes forward, will you have daily metrics that will be represented by the school officials or administration regarding these teachers to make sure that they're safe as well?
I'm not really sure can you be more specific about the data metrics that we would collect?
So, for example, if you have teachers in the school, like in the classroom, if we have students, for example, who are exhibiting symptoms outside of fever, because, fever you can look at with the temperature model. But, for example, if there's loss of taste, if there is regular sniffling, if the students, for whatever reason, are not staying in their seats, and we know children, like there could be a very good chance that there's a child who, for whatever reason, is struggling with keeping 6 feet distance or 3 feet distance. Are you going to be collecting data and being on the floor with the teachers? Because as we all know, the teachers are going to have the most exposure to the students, as they're teaching them. So they're going to have the most risk. So will the administration and the school committee be going out and making sure that they're on the floor seeing real-time events, so that in the event that another decision needs to be made, let's say in late October, they're going to be able to make those metrics as opposed to listening to feedback or being in their offices. They're going to be on the floor looking at what the actual real-time events are as the school year progresses. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So I think what I'm hearing you ask is that will we track the metrics, the COVID cases, which would be arise in our school district and in the towns of Air and Shirley? Will we be tracking that daily? No?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you're correct in that. Not only the COVID cases, but I mean being on the floor with the teachers, because the teachers are going to be exposed in real time to children who may be asymptomatic or are not asymptomatic, but they're going to be in those classrooms with the children having the highest risk level, as far as the district is concerned, making sure that you're making your observation. So if I can use you as an example, Dr. Malone. So let's say you're rounding, we call them leadership rounds in the hospitals. So as you being a leader, you're going to all 4 districts, and as you're walking around, you're looking at how many times is this teacher having to assist a student where, they're closer than 30 feet because they're trying to help them understand something. How many times is a teacher having to stop and kind of invade that 6 feet rule? I know it's 3 to 6 inches. So, 3 to 6 feet. So let's say, they have to get within 2 feet of the student to help them or assist them so that they get the education they need. Will you be collecting data regarding the teachers and, their level of risk? Because as I looked at the parents' discussion the other day, 57% of the teachers were very concerned about going back to school. So as they're risking their lives, because truly that's what it is, as they're risking their lives, will the administration, being the principals, the superintendents, and the school board, be reaching out and looking at real-time events to make sure that these teachers are safe? I guess maybe the better way to ask this question.
Yeah, well, I guess what you're generally asking me, are we going to be on the ground monitoring and supporting and observing what's happening in the classrooms daily between teachers and students and all of those pieces?
Yes, ma'am.
So the answer would be, as far as the administration and the superintendent. My office is in a school building, so I have access to students every single day in classrooms and teachers. But I would also say, school committee, there will be a visitor restriction in schools. So I'm not sure that I would commit to you that the school committee will be on the ground in our buildings, because we're not going to be allowing visitors in the building, as part of the health protocol.
So thank you, Erica. That was a good comment. And if you know our principals and the way our schools work with principals and vice principals, many of them I never can find them in their office because they're in the school. And our schools aren't so big that we have 4 floors or anything. So I would expect that this might be stepped up a little bit, but this is probably what's happening already, is that there's observation going on. So I think that's good to keep that in mind. And thank you very much.
Yeah, and if I may, Madam Chair, Renee, our nurse leader is on. Would you want to add anything to that, Mrs. Payne?
I don't have her on my screen.
Yeah, hi. So I think I understood the question, Erica. Thank you for asking that. And we, in the district, we have a SNAP program, and I know the nurses are definitely going to be monitoring, other than just COVID cases, just kids that come down. These are things we've been doing for years in the school. It's how we track, head lice, different scenarios that happen throughout the school day, a cough, a flu, kids who aren't immunized. So we definitely, it is something that we do currently, and we do track that, and we are planning to be tracking this possible COVID, a close contact with COVID. There's many different scenarios. In the classrooms, I do think that this is something that we all have always done. I do think that this year it would probably be looked at a little more as far as when administration or someone goes into the classrooms, whether or not we could keep track of how many times a teacher came close contact with a student. I wouldn't be able to answer that, but I do feel as though we do a very good job right now of tracking information regarding students' illness, even with staff on that matter.
And with all due respect, I'm grateful for this, but I just want to make clarification. My concern is, not only is my child a student there, but I'm concerned about the teachers as well. So if we have 57% of teachers, reviewing and saying they're concerned, and then we also have the presidents of these various, as far as, for example, the teachers union, we have the presidents coming out in multiple, student union saying that they're concerned about, being in class, because in all of these hybrid models, I think except for one, maybe the teachers would be affected daily. So my concern would be there. We're trying to keep everyone safe.
Right.
And ultimately our educators, as we all know, are key in this situation. And it's not the responsibility of the educators to fix all of our problems as much as we would like them to. It's not. So we want to make sure that our educators are well covered and protected. So as we look at that situation, I'll give you an example. I'm a medical records director and privacy officer at a hospital, mental health hospital. So we don't have the medical facilities to, let's say, put 1 or 2 patients in a room and then isolate them if they have COVID symptoms. We have to send them out to another facility. So for example, when we had the culinary staff, and we also had the housekeeping staff who was doing their jobs to make sure that we kept the hospital sanitized. They all came, they tested positive for COVID-19. So they were out for 2 weeks quarantining. So it was the CEO who stepped up and said, okay, you as directors and leaders need to step in for these various shifts to make sure that the hospital, falls within the rules and the guidelines of COVID-19 cleaning and things like that. So we then stepped up to do that. So my question is, what metrics are going to be put into place to give a real-time view for not only the students, but also for the teachers to make sure that they're okay? Because at the end of the day, as great as our educators are, and we're so grateful that they're there, let's say we go to an in-person model or a hybrid model. If we have 26 teachers come down with COVID, we're probably going to have to go to a remote situation, or a remote teaching situation. So wouldn't it be best to track that model so that if in the first week we're seeing a higher level of teachers having to go outside of the 3 to 6 foot model, will then be prepared to say, you know what, in 2 weeks we really need to go remote because there's a very good chance that teachers may test positive regardless of whether they're asymptomatic or not. Does that make sense? And I don't want to take up all your time, but I'm just trying to kind of narrow down.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And yes, there's a lot of things going to develop between now and September 16th, and that certainly is one of them.
Okay, I'm going to try to go, okay, the next slide she has. So personal protection equipment, I wanted to inform the committee and all of our viewers this evening of where we stand on personal protection equipment and ordered and received. So we ordered 300 communicator Clearview masks. We have 3,200 face masks. We have 100 face shields on order, and robotics, Maker's Yard Group are making enough for all staff. I think they made like 68 for the special ed staff this summer, and I think Michelle was around 27 or 28 we used, so they had some left over. We have 8 non-contact infrared thermometers, 2 in each building. We've ordered enough tissues for the first 12 weeks, 20 cases for all classrooms. We have 8,000 youth disposable masks. We have 8,800 gloves, 300 gallons of hand sanitizer, 75 cases of disinfecting wipes, 500 disposable gowns. We have purchased 3 30 by 45 tents. We're getting a larger one for the middle school. And then Mr. Plunkett's looking at renting No. Bill, can you clarify the size, the ones that we're going to rent?
Yeah, the ones we're renting, we have 3 that are 30 by 45
Yeah.
with sides. And we need to get one, we have one more that we're trying to secure for the middle school. We want to do it a little bit bigger over there. We were looking at, the first one we looked at was 40 by 100. That one is no longer available. So we are looking at a smaller one. So we'll have 4 large tents rented, and we've also purchased 8 smaller canopy tents. They're 10 by 30, and we're going to have 2 of those at each school. So those are the tents and the canopies we have right now that we're securing for the district.
Okay. And then we're working on ordering plexiglass. The middle school has some science lab rooms, and the Department of Education, through their guidance, being informed by the experts and pediatricians and the boards of health and such, have said, plexiglass could be used in the cafeterias and in the science labs. We're looking at ordering desks. Again, we're looking at the middle school to get past the 3 feet. We have bottled water on order for each classroom, and then we have medical waste containers that have been ordered as well. And I know that while we're on this, Mrs. Payne has worked with all 4 principals in identifying the COVID rooms in all 4 buildings. We do have to do some construction to create a window and such, but that has been taken care of. Okay, next slide, please.
Order.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Am I all set to continue? Does somebody have a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Mary. I'm sorry.
Okay. So this part of the presentation is really focused on the hybrid model and the different schedules that we put forth, and I'm providing the committee with pros and cons of each model. The full in-person model that we've been asked to plan for, that model, if that were to be to the model, but I think you can see with the busing and other things that's going to be a very difficult model to put forth at this time. But just to speak about it, excuse me, we would, follow our schedule and protocols, and then all of the health mandates and things that you're going to see in the blueprint would be in place. The full remote model, we showed you some schedules last week. The full remote model would be similar to the model we had in March, with the exception of many things, which will be outlined in the blueprint, such as we are required to take attendance every single day. We would revert back to the traditional grading system. The teaching would have to be aligned to the standards. There would be synchronous learning required, as well as asynchronous learning and other pieces to that. And then the other hybrid model, which I wanted to show you the schedules and give you some pros and cons, again, providing school committee as much information as I can on the models. So if you go to the next slide, please. Priorities of return to school plan, the health and safety of students and staff, using the DESE guidelines developed by members of their return to school working group, infectious disease physicians, pediatricians, and other public health experts, and a thorough review of the medical literature. Superintendents have been charged to prioritize students returning to school. Masks are mandatory. The physical distancing was minimum 3 feet to maximum 6 feet. And then all of those documents the Department of Education has released all have medical research in the reference section if anybody would be interested in looking at that. The next priority, and certainly in any of the plans, would be cohorting siblings. We've heard loud and clear from parents, and we understand that this is very important, that in a hybrid model, that the students' siblings would be on the same schedule. So if the hybrid model was Monday and Tuesday, And then the remote was Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, that all the siblings in the lower 8 white K through 5 would be on that same schedule. And then our goal is to create a robust academic model in any of the models. Next slide, please. So the first model we presented last week was Schedule 1, the alternating weeks. We showed you this, and again, it's in person 1 week and remote week 2. Next slide. Please, pros and cons of this. The pros, it reduces the number of students in the building by approximately 50%. It provides groupings that align with other programming levels. It provides a week-long instructional time period for students to acclimate and prepare for remote learning. Provides direct support instruction for students with their teacher working directly with them 5 days a week. It allows for students to be out of school for 9 days in the event of illness. And then the cons, it does not reduce the number of students in a classroom, and the DESTE's guidance does not require a maximum number. Students are out of school for a week-long period of remote learning. It's challenges with elective offerings at the high school for mixed grades, and then grade level cohorts do not create like schedules for siblings. Next slide, please. The second schedule we showed you last week was half days. So elementary would come in for half day, and then there would be a lunchtime and prep time, and then they would latch on to remote learning in the afternoon. And the same model would apply to the middle school and high school. Next slide, please. And the pros and cons of that is that brings students, all students, into the building every day. It reduces the number of students in the building at any given time by approximately 50%. Provides direct connection with students and teachers in person and remotely for 5 days a week, and it provides a break between the 2 time periods. Con, this one does not reduce the number of students in a classroom. It requires a great deal of transportation, coordination with drop-off, pickup, especially at the midpoint. And the grade level cohorts do not create like schedules for siblings. And it's a challenge for younger students to regroup and join a remote classroom in the afternoon. I'll stop for a second there if anybody has any questions about what I've presented so far on the hybrid models.
Seeing none, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Schedule 3 was a hybrid model, all half days, remote and PM. So all the students would be in for half day. We provide to-go lunches, the same model. They would, teachers would have their lunch and a prep, and students would latch onto the remote in the afternoon. Next slide, please. So the pros of this model, all students return to school. Students meet with the teachers each day. It provides a direct connection with students and teachers in person and remotely, and it provides a break time between the 2 time periods. The cons of this, it does not reduce the number of students in the school. It does not reduce the number of students in a classroom. It requires additional buses to meet transportation requirements, and it is a challenge for younger students to regroup and join a remote classroom in the afternoon. Next slide, please. And then we had Schedule 4, which was 2 days in person and 3 days remote. And in this schedule, we had the remote day for everyone on Friday. Next slide, please. And if you note, this was the preferred model. If this were to be the model to go back to school, the parents and the teachers liked this one the best and feel that this would work with their schedules. So the pros of this is all students come to school every week. Provides direct support and instruction for students with their teacher working directly with them for 5 days a week. It reduces the number of students in the building by approximately 50% daily. It doesn't reduce the number of students in a classroom. There is a week between in-person meetings, so if you're in person on Monday and Tuesday, you're not in person with your teacher again to the following week. The grade level cohorts do not create like schedules of siblings, and it doesn't provide time between cohorts for cleaning during the week. Next slide. This was the slide for the high needs students, and this model was Monday through Thursday in person and then remote on Friday. Next slide, please. So we went and we took feedback and we listened to teachers and parents, and administration. So based on feedback from various stakeholders following the July 29th school committee meeting, including the June 30th faculty meeting and June 30th parent meeting, we have amended our hybrid models to identify this preferred hybrid model. So the biggest change is that Wednesday would be a remote day for all. So a cohort of students would be in on Monday and Tuesday. Everybody would be remote on Wednesday, which would give the custodial department an opportunity to do deep cleaning before the second cohort comes in on Thursday, Friday in person. Next slide, please. The pros of this model: all students do come to school every week. It provides 2 days in a row with one group of students. It provides direct support instruction for students with their teacher working directly with them for 5 days a week. Reduces the number of students in the building by approximately 50%. It provides time between cohorts for cleaning during the week. And the siblings will be on the same schedule, K to 5, and most for 6 to 8 and 9. 9 through 12 is a little more challenging because of the high school schedule. I think I mentioned if the high school was on this model, this schedule, Mr. Christie has reported that he would cohort. I think he had a team of teachers that worked on this model with him, that it would be 9 and 10 in one cohort and then grades 11 and 12 in the other. The cons of this, it doesn't reduce the numbers in a classroom. So if there's 17 kindergarten students, that class size will remain that. And then there is a week between in-class meetings as a last model. If you're in person on Monday and Tuesday, you will be remote with your teacher on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, but then you would not be in person with them until the following week. Next slide, please. And then,
May I just ask, I'm sorry, may I ask a quick question on that? On the plans 4 and 5, what happens with like a Monday holiday or a Friday holiday? Do we just sort of shift them around so that no one gets loses a day?
well, that's a good question. Typically, you know, on a school schedule, if it's a Monday holiday, sometimes if you have a rotating schedule, so some schools operate like an A through E schedule, and if Friday was A day, then Tuesday would be B day. So I'm not, you know, that's a good question. I don't think, I don't have an answer for it right now, what we would do on a holiday.
And that's okay. It's just something that occurred to me, and maybe it's more of an elementary school and middle school, depending on how they rotate classes or don't rotate classes versus the high school. So,
yeah,
thank
I know.
you.
Yeah, the middle school, I believe they do a rotation, and the high school does an A/B schedule. So I would defer to those principals to think about, you know, and I don't expect them to answer tonight either, you know, how they would like to handle that. But in the elementary, I think if it's a holiday, you know, like a lot of people will talk about every Monday I have a gym and I miss it because there's a holiday. So sometimes you just forfeit the day, maybe. But good question. I wrote it down.
Thank you.
Yep. And then we talked to Mrs. Bozak and said that we'd like to align with that other schedule because some of these students need to be integrated into general ed classrooms. So this would make that, so when there's in-person, for the general education, the special ed students would be on the same schedule, and then their remote day would be on Wednesdays as well. And the next slide, please. So I have a few miscellaneous items here at the end. Just letting you know some of registrations. The central office manages registrations. School offices are closed, and so right now we've had 2 new students at the middle school, 3 at Laura White, and 5 at Page Hilltop. So we've had 10 new students in the school. I just wanted to talk about the HVAC systems. I know Mr. Brigg is on here, and we've done a lot about talking about what we're doing in the schools to ensure that the HVAC systems are working properly. But we're also going to bring in a company, and to conduct an assessment on our systems to make sure the air quality is working efficiently, and that you know, that they're all up. I don't know, and then the windows at the middle school, I know we've decided to order new windows because they've been trying really hard. The other windows, to no avail. So I don't know if Mr. Briggs is on. I'd like to make any comments about those. I don't.
Briggs, would you like to comment on those items? He was here.
Hello, everybody.
I'm here. Thank you for having me again. As Dr. Malone stated, we are in the process of doing the preventive maintenance on all of our heating, ventilating, air conditioning equipment throughout the school district. We're in the midst of that right now. I also agreed that I thought it was a good idea to have a third party take a look at everything and formulate a report for everybody. Meeting a different contractor at the middle school on Monday about the windows. So I hope to move forward as quick as possible. I had a good conversation with that individual, my contact, stating that, you know, this is a very important issue, and we've identified the areas, we've prioritized areas that we'd like to get done as quick as possible. So we're going to zero in on that starting on Monday. If anybody has any questions about anything, I'm happy to try to answer that. But that's the status as far as those categories go at this time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Briggs. Thank you very much. And if I know this is totally off topic, but your staff did such a great job at graduation. I would like to thank them for that.
Oh, well, you're very welcome. That was a
We don't get you very
pleasurable
often,
experience.
Thank
We
you.
did it.
Again, I would like to echo on the parents, and I forgive if I'm monopolizing time. If there's any other parent, I'm welcome to give way to them. But I just want to ask the specific question. Again, this comes from the administration. So when I say administration, I mean the administrators of these specific schools. So principals on up, right? So for example, you know, I realize that there's a specific need, a specific expression of parents and specifically educators regarding what's happening with ventilation, what's happening with air quality flow, regarding these teachers, because at the end of the day, when we look at the need and we look at the importance of education administrators, and first of all, I really want to go on record saying that our administrators, not our administrators, and forgive me because administrators are important, but for our educators are the backbone of everything we need for the education of our children, for the teaching of our democracy, for the true knowledge of the great nation that we stand forward in. I just want to say that, you know, when we're looking at these statistics and we're looking at these percentiles, are we really looking at the deficit that we create for them? I mean, I am grateful for a teacher like Lali Capasso. I'm grateful for a teacher like Stephen Tully, who's going in every single day. They're willing to educate these students to make sure that they have the information that they need. For me, who I can do a pretty good job, but I can't do the job nearly that they have and that they perform to make sure that they're safe and that they can pass on that knowledge to future generations. My concern really is standing with the teachers and saying that, you know, they have the highest level of need, risk, and level of experience and education to make sure that these children are safe, and not only them, but them themselves. Because if we don't have the education of Stephen Tully, if we don't have the education of Lali Capasso, we don't have the education of Barbara to make sure that these children understand the level or experience of education that's moving forward, what's the point of all of this? Because it's easy to sit behind a screen and say, yes, we believe that, you know, these children need to be educated to the best of their abilities. All of us can say that, but I know as me as a mother, I take 2 hours out of every...
Erica, we're losing your... Erica, we've lost your volume.
Can you hear me?
Not too well.
Okay, so I'm going to just bend down a little bit closer. So basically, me as a mother, I educate my child 2 additional days out of every school day to make sure that she understands what her educators are saying, I want to make sure that the true educators and the people that have taken the time to make sure that they know what they're talking about are safe. So my concern again is going to be the educators that are in the classroom with these children. If they're saying that they don't feel safe, there's a problem. There's an absolute problem.
I think everyone on this meeting, which is 71 people, would certainly agree with you. We're having a terrible time hearing you right now. It sounds like I don't know something, but and I want to apologize. I'm getting a message that my system is, my internet is not reliable right now for whatever reason, so it's going off and on. But
let me make sure. So what I'm trying to say here is that if the education is, if an educator who we are trusting with our children does not feel safe, I feel the best way is to be able to make them have the ability to make sure that they can create a situation or a curriculum where they can teach children to the best of their ability remotely, maybe the best way we need to go, so that they can be safe and our children can be safe.
right, so Erica, right now I feel that everything is in an emergency situation. Everybody's doing their best. We all want the best education. I know I can speak for everyone on this school committee that we feel strongly that we've always gone towards the best education possible, and it's been extraordinary, and it's improving every year. And we're going to get through this the best we can, with as safe as we can. And I know the first item you said there, and since Mr. Briggs is still with us, is that his expertise is in air quality and HVAC systems. And so we have maybe the best expert possible in our school system to handle this. So, and we need to move on. I think we all appreciate your comments. And if we could let Dr. Malone finish her presentation.
Any teacher could experience. So instead of talking over me, if you can hear me, then let me say this, that any person who knows their medical health and their medical physical situation, we all know that elderly people are not asymptomatic. So we have quite a few elderly teachers here within our community. So if they're trying to do their best to teach and they cannot teach due to the fact that they are probably, more than likely, going to end up contracting COVID, we really need to review the remote access. And as much as we as parents, and myself included, want to have the children inpatient, or what I should say is, I guess, in-house, if we can't provide that situation, we could very well be looking at, inside of 2 to 3 weeks, teachers testing positive, and then we're trying to go to a remote system. But if we have a remote system and there are, let's say, 26 to 37%, because that's what we've had in the healthcare arena, teachers not being able to teach because they're fighting COVID, we really need to review that possibility. So it's nice to include the teachers in what their perspective may be. We really need to look at the fact that if 57% of teachers are concerned about contracting COVID, and that we have a precedent for contracting COVID amongst adults, particularly elderly adults. And when I say that, I mean, people can feel however they want to feel, but there are specific age restrictions. And looking at our particular community that we have as far as teachers, we would be looking at a pandemic alone for the Air Shirley school system, looking at 57%
of teachers who teach in class. And if we were to move to remote, these teachers may possibly be out by trying to have these students inpatient. So all I'm saying is as much as we want to do that, and as great as our teachers are, if they contract COVID-19 with the typical symptoms that have gone on, we're looking at a very minimum of 3% of those teachers being able to teach their students while having contracted COVID. So that's my concern here, and I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Thank you very much. Mary, if you'd like to continue, please.
Sure. Next slide, please. This is the last slide. And so at this time, if the school committee has questions or comments, I'd be happy to take them.
a fast slide.
Yeah.
At this moment, we would just like to hear from the committee if they have any questions or comments.
Yeah, Joyce, I have a couple, please, if
Please.
that's okay.
Please, Jonathan.
Dr. Malone, on the survey, have we, so we know we have some families that may not use email or technology quite the way others do. Have we reached out to those families, maybe via phone or other means to get their feedback on a return to school plan?
Sure, that's a good suggestion, and I'll look into that tomorrow. The survey is closing on Friday, so we just sent it out today, and so we expect, and we'll send a reminder out tomorrow, but I'll check into that. I believe most of our families have email, but good point, and I'll check into it.
Okay, and then one of the other questions I had, and I know we didn't talk about it much tonight, sort of two things, was around the remote option that's through the learning management system.
Yeah.
If a student chooses that. We've also talked about providing Chromebooks for all of our students. So would students who choose the remote management system through DESI, would they also get a Chromebook since they are still technically enrolled in the district?
Sure, good question. So I'll start with the Chromebooks first. So Mike Thibault, Director of Technology, he and his team have already started distributing Chromebooks to all students. An email's been sent out. So every student in the district, beginning with kindergarten, will receive a Chromebook.
Okay, great. So we are going to start with kindergarten as well?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he and Mr. Cleary are still debating it, whether we do iPads in K1, but they will have a device, kindergarten and first grade students. As you know, we've been purchasing iPads in the elementary K through 2 for the last 3 or 4 years. So I think every classroom has maybe 6 to 7 and all of the charging systems and everything that go with it for a technology center. So I'm not sure, whatever they recommend. And as far as the management system, Mr. Cleary and I were both, as you know, Mr. Cleary is in charge of teaching and learning, and we were both on a webinar today. So there are two options. One is the DESI learning management system, and where you purchase a K to 12 curriculum that does not have any instructional support. So the district would, for those, so to be clear, families, if the hybrid model is the return model, obviously if the remote model is chosen, then it wouldn't make sense if somebody to go and choose another model outside of our remote model. But the hybrid or the in-person, parents do have the option to say, I reject the hybrid and I reject the in-person, and therefore I'm going to opt for the remote option that you're going to provide to families. So we haven't determined if we're going to go with, there's two models that DESI presented today. One was the virtual schools we have in the Commonwealth. One is the green, what's it called, Charlie? I forget. Greenfield Virtual School, and the other one was TECA. So these are actually two online virtual schools that enroll students full-time. And then the Department of Education presented two models as well. One is Edgenuity, which is an online system that we already use in our district, particularly at the high school. And the other option was the Florida Virtual System. I think it was called, what was it called, Charlie? FHS?
Florida Virtual Learning System, yes.
Yeah, Florida Virtual Learning System. So we just got the information today, so I'm not sure which model we'll choose to provide to those families, because we do have to provide a teacher in any of the models. So the virtual schools have a teacher, but it's much more costly. But then if you look at the models that the department put forth, the per pupil cost is low, but then you have to provide a teacher. So, we're in that decision-making process. But to be clear to families, if they were to choose a remote model, they will have an option. And we will make that decision, it's going to be in the blueprint, what that option will be.
Thank you much. I appreciate it.
Michelle?
Just unmuting myself. Yeah, I'm just unmuting. So I just wanted to make a clarification. I know we've discussed this, but I just wanted to confirm that if the district goes with the hybrid model, the remote learning piece will be taught by the teachers that they have already and not through any kind of third party. And that the only time that the third party remote program comes into play is if we go to a hybrid model and the family elects remote. Is that the correct understanding for everyone?
Yes, that is exactly.
Okay. My other question is with regard to children that may be sick. And I'm just bringing this up because it was part of the forum with parents that we had the other night. And if a child is sick, they stay home. How does that work towards like an absence? Is it counted as an absence? And how does that work if it's not a COVID illness, but it's another illness? A cold, allergies, whatever.
It would be an absence in school because even if we were to go fully remote, we are required to take attendance and it needs to be reported in our student information system, which gets reported to the Department of Education. Now, attendance and accountability in the MCAS system, that we haven't heard anything about that. So I would just say to parents that, at this point, I know I'm not going to worry about it. And I don't think the school community worry about it. If someone is ill and they need to stay home and not worry that, we're not going to be calling and saying, where's your child and attendance and all that. We understand this very difficult situation. And if your child is sick, we appreciate that you followed the guidance and the mandate and you kept your child home. So I don't want parents to feel they're going to be pressured.
And then the same, just as
At the same time, at the same time,
sorry.
At the same time, we want children, obviously attending when they're healthy or not. We want children when they're healthy, obviously.
Right. And then the process for getting missed work and stuff would be similar to what they do every year when they're out sick and they miss work.
Yes.
Follow up with the teacher. Yeah. Okay.
Joe? Questions and comments?
I don't know. Not sure, what the protocol is for the discussion here. I know we're not voting tonight, but I do believe that there are other plans that can be put into place hybrid that would allow for students to be able to be remote and still have their own teachers and not have to put them into some DESE other program.
Yeah, Joe, thank you for that. The right now, we have to have educators for that, and so as it stands right now, we really haven't been notified by any of our teachers about not being able to return or situations where we could assign teachers. So I'm not, I would have to hire people. So that's a conundrum to think about. Other remote plans where the students still have their teachers. There's the model of live streaming in a classroom where students could be at home remote, and then the classroom teacher, the teacher's instruction and a classroom would be live.
Exactly.
I haven't. That's a change in working conditions, so certainly I can. That'll be something we could talk about, and there's some other models as well. Besides the live streaming, that the teachers do both. They hold a morning meeting with all the students, the ones that are home, and then they go back to their in-person, and then they go back to the remote, and that's something that I've heard of a few districts doing. I don't know how doable that is. Then there's a couple other ones. So we're thinking about it. It's not off the table, but you have to have teachers. Mr. Tully just wrote into the chat that we haven't asked anyone if they would like to teach remotely. So we haven't got to that point yet, Mr. Tully, to say, to ask people who wants to be in and who wants to be out, and that we could get to that place.
Thank you. Cheryl?
Well, I think I got
Joe, I
cut
thought,
off.
excuse me, I beg your pardon. Go ahead.
I think I cut off, but I also, I don't know when we should, decide what we believe is appropriate, all remote or all hybrid or whatever. If that's something that we should be expressing at this point. But I do think that when that time comes, we all have our opinions about what should be. I just want to make sure that we examine all of the different possibilities before we make a final decision.
Sure.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anything else, Joe? I didn't mean to cut you off before. I apologize. Cheryl Simmons?
Yes, I was just curious. I know some of when you're looking at the hybrid models, the issue with not reducing the amount of students in a classroom came up as a negative. With some of the data that you have collected from families that have said they would definitely choose a fully remote program, have you really looked at how that would affect the size of the classes, or do we need actually a registration process to see what that would look like?
Right. So I guess what we would do is, so those parents that have said they want the remote model, that would definitely reduce class sizes. So once there's a model in place, and then then we would ask teachers, parents to commit to the model. So say you adopt a hybrid, and then we go back to the parents and then ask those parents, who is going to opt for the remote model, and then that would reduce class sizes. Absolutely, we have that on the table. We know that will work that way.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to how it would, because in reality, you gather data from families, so you have that, that one family saying remote, but we don't know how many students that affects. Like they might have 3 or 4 kids, or they may choose remote for one and hybrid for another.
Right.
So, yeah.
We can look at it because we asked parents to pick a grade in school, so we could just aggregate those that selected the remote by that. And so that would give us a better idea of the classrooms and what the impact would be on enrollment in classrooms.
Yeah. Because I think that the discomfort, well, let's just face it, this is just uncomfortable. It doesn't matter what you choose, but the discomfort of looking at those classrooms and the reality of keeping kids the 4 or 5 or 6 feet apart, when you have a full class, it looks scary to me.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay, is anybody else from the committee? There's quite a few questions on the chat, and I think that a number of those have kind of been answered as we're going along. There's many things obviously still need to be ironed out and counted and put in slots to see how this goes. But I think everybody's here going to be trying to do their best. And is there anything else that information-wise you might need to know? Without comment, but just for information, if there's a question you need answered, if you put it in the chat, we will attempt to answer that. Marie Knapp says, when, who, and how we decide which option we are going for. You may have missed the beginning of the meeting where this will come to a vote next week, as we are going a little bit past the state requirement. We got a special dispensation to not decide it by the 10th, and I'm going to have the date wrong, so somebody help me.
The 13th, Joe.
Thank you, Michelle. The 13th will be a meeting, and hopefully we will have a vote at that point, and some more of these things we will add on. The school committee is required to decide on this, And so that's why we did this information meeting tonight. Is there anything else there?
Joyce, can I ask another question?
Please, Michelle.
So my question, if we are in a hybrid model and a student were to have been discovered to be positive, how is that going to work as far as the quarantine? Is that the whole class would need to be quarantined, the teacher? Like, how is that going to work?
There are protocols for that, Michelle, and I'm going to ask Renee, our nurse leader.
Renee has an answer for that?
Yeah, Renee.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi, Renee. Thank you.
You're welcome. So right now, I wish I could give you exact how it would work. Right at the moment, we talked to the Board of Health. So let me backtrack. So any person who has a COVID test, whether it's positive or negative, goes through the Neshoba Board of Health. So the result from whatever lab they go to, whether it's a free clinic, their doctor, it follows them with the town in which they live. So their result, positive or negative, ends up going to the Neshoba Board of Health. The Neshoba Board of Health and I and the district have been speaking regularly on coming up with a concrete plan so that we know exactly who can be in the building and who can't. We had extended school year this past couple of weeks, and we had a student who was feeling ill during the day. And we did quarantine them, which is recommended, and we put them in an isolation room. We had a mask on them. We called the parent, which is all CDC guidelines. The student was sent home. A parent did pick them up. It was a long weekend. This happened on a Thursday, and the student had stayed out, and they had a COVID test, which had come back negative. So we are, and I was able to follow that up with the Board of Health, which is something, that we seem to be really on board with. I actually had a meeting today with the Board of Health, and just making sure that we're very concrete and very solid on how we notify families and how we manage this. So if a student during the day ends up feeling ill, we don't know that they're COVID positive or negative at this point. We just know that they're not feeling well. So they go to the quarantine room and they're dismissed. The class, we would be disinfecting the class, the desk in which they stay at, but the classroom itself does not need to leave. It doesn't need to go to a new classroom. So those students would stay in there. But one of the big things that the Board of Health had recommended was just making sure that we have like assigned seating, so that if we needed to do, tracing in close contacts, that we're able to do that easily. So that is something we're working on, and we do know that that's something that we really want to put in place.
Great, thank you. And then so does the Board of Health are they able to give you like specific names with the HIPAA regulations? Like,
Yeah, good question. So that was one thing, because all the nurse leaders in the Middlesex community were online today, and we did our meeting, and that was asked. And when it comes to a pandemic like this, I don't want to say throw out HIPAA, but they are able to communicate with me. Just like if I hear through a parent that someone else may have tested or positive or negative, whatever the case may be, I have the right to call up the Board of Health as well. So it's not a open slate for all parents to call, but as a school and as a nurse, we're able to do that.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So Renee, if if you don't mind a question for me.
Yeah.
Someone said that, so let's say we have a student and they come down with COVID. Does the whole family end up in quarantine, basically?
So the Board of Health is going to determine what is considered a close contact. Right now, it's greater than 15 minutes, and it's less than 6 feet apart, and whether you had a mask on or not. Right now, that's the standard definition for a close contact.
So that fits into families, perhaps?
Yes. So most likely, and I only say most likely because it was really based on symptoms and when they developed symptoms. But yes, I do believe that I'm going to say 99% of the time it wouldn't affect families.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Michelle, did you want to continue?
No, that was helpful. I mean, you know, that I'm sure I'm going to have a million more questions. But, you know, those are some of the ones that were in the forefront for me.
Cheryl or Jonathan or Joe, did you have follow-up things you would like to do?
I do have another question. Can you hear me?
You could be a little louder.
I do have another question. And it's a like a procedure question. So at our next meeting, there will be a plan that is presented, and we will vote on that plan. Is that correct?
If I may, there will be a presentation, and the school committee will vote on one of the 3 models. So I will make a recommendation, and then the school committee will vote on which model they believe. It could be a unanimous vote. It could be a 4-2 vote. Each member will put forth the model that they recommend or want to see in the schools.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're not going to vote on one particular thing and vote it yay or nay, because I was wondering, like, what happens if we vote if we decided no to the plan that was presented?
Well, right. like any item that would come before the committee, someone who makes a motion, that would be the motion. It would be seconded and be voted on. And if that fails, then you would go to perhaps another one until you have a full agreement, in which case then everybody who is a committee member is obligated to support that vote.
Right. So the school committee would have to vote on one of the models.
Right.
One of the models of remote, in-person, or hybrid.
Yes.
And if we voted hybrid, would we then have to choose between one of those, one of the models of hybrid?
Right.
Well, I don't know if you necessarily would have to select the model. You could. I mean, it's the will of the school committee. I will bring forward the models again, to you to review, and any work that we've done around the feedback, changing the models in any way to fine tune them. For example, how many will opt, how many parents based on the survey will go with remote, and how does that impact the classes and things like that. Whatever updated information I will bring to you in the presentation, and take any questions that you have. And in the meantime, if you have any questions and things that you want me to address next week, I would certainly do that. So you can email me, as you well know, or call me, or whatever.
I do have one additional.
Please, Michelle.
Joyce. So Joyce, I'm sorry. Joe brought up, a really good point, and about whether or not a class could be live streamed. So then we could accommodate both the families that do prefer hybrid and the families that do prefer remote, so that all of our students are still getting access to our teachers. So is there any way, I don't know if you've already looked into it and the cost is exorbitant, or if it's possible, is there any way we can pursue that as well? Or just look into it as an option?
Yes, we are pursuing it, and we are getting a quote. There's a webcam, and then Mr. Clary's looking into document cameras, so we are looking into that model, absolutely.
Okay, because to me that seems like it could be, and it could be a compromise that satisfies everyone.
Yeah, great. Okay, we'll go to the chat. I'd like to go to a comment that was made. So the survey before this one with the teachers, we asked teachers who would not be returning due to COVID related issues. It was still anonymous, but it was 2 teachers that indicated to us in that survey that they would not be able to return. And so we did ask that question to teachers when we sent out the survey before this one.
Yeah, I thought that was an early thing.
Yeah.
Jonathan, do you have anything to add?
Sorry, I'm just going through, let's see here.
Well, you check that. No, Joyce, I have no further, well, I have lots of questions, but nothing further for tonight.
Somebody asked who
It's a discussion time, so anything's fine.
somebody asked who would a teacher replace in the hybrid model if they come down sick. Well, we have substitutes that we would go to, and we're also looking to hire through the grant funds that we get. We're looking to hire 1 permanent sub in every building. I think we've answered. One person asked, what's the difference between duly remote learning and the one from DESE? Last week it was said that remote learning was independently indifferent. Fully sorry. So, yeah, I know this causes, so there's 3 models that the Department of Education has required superintendents to plan for. As you know, we have the 65-member Return to School Advisory Board has been working all summer and working very hard on developing 3 solid, robust plans. So if 3 models, in-person, hybrid, and fully remote. If the plan to move forward to start the school year was fully remote, then all students would be taught by their teachers. It would be a more robust model, meaning, you know, they would have a schedule. It would be as similar to a daily schedule as we can make it. We have to understand different capacities for kids and ages and things like that. It would involve synchronous and asynchronous teaching, meaning live teaching by the teacher. There would be grades, traditional grades. There would be work. We showed in one of the presentations that we took all the feedback from the families about work posted on a Friday for the following week. So it would be more robust. If the school committee were to vote, if I say I recommend a full in-person return, and the school committee votes that plan in, the parents that do not want to send their children have the option for a remote option. So a couple of in that remote option, there was 2 that we have. One is to use the virtual school. The other one is to purchase seats in this learning management center presented by DESE. But what Mr. Leone and Mrs. Granger have put on the table is to say, what are our other options? So for example, live streaming. So those families who want their children to stay home and be remote, they would be remote, but would be able to participate fully in their classroom through that live streaming option. So we're still looking at those remote options to determine what would be best, and then working with the teachers, you know, because there would have to be some professional development and such around that model, and agreement that they would be comfortable with that model. But I think it's a feasible model because the other model, the learning management system, if we were to purchase it for the department, we still have to have an educator. And if we don't have a lot of educators that that can't come back to work that we could assign to that, that's a barrier. So, and we just, we did, to the person, the Department of Education had indicated to us that this learning management system would be more self-directed and that it would be monitored, but that since changed this week to be no, the students have to be supported by a teacher. So I hope that provides that clarification. And then one other person asked about kindergarten families. Yes, Mr. Cleary, can you verify that the surveys did go to the kindergarten families today and the other information? Because again, we know you're not in our student information system just yet.
Yes, that was sent out a little bit later after the initial survey had gone out to everybody else, because we had to, because those students and parents were not in our Blackboard messaging system as of this point. But I was told that the message was sent out, but I will verify.
Okay. Okay.
Was a breakout star on the Netflix hit The Expanding Universe with Ashley Garcia.
Dr. Malone?
Yes.
I don't know if you see, there was a really good question Stephanie Peterson posted to the chat of if the district starts remote, how will they determine if and when it's safe to transition to hybrid? Or vice versa, if we start hybrid, what measures determine when it's time to close schools and transition to remote?
Yeah, that is a very good question, and we're working on those metrics. But the one metric that I'm aware of right now is cases that are below 5%. So Air and Shirley, are very low, and the state, of course, has gone down. So we would certainly, and I guess one of the things I would say to everyone here, if next week, whatever plan the school committee votes for, particularly if it would be, in any kind of in-person hybrid model, it's August 13th. And September 16th, we don't know what the metrics are going to be. So, all of this is done with the caveat that, we could be in a hybrid to start, and we have to go to remote before we even get school started because of there could be a surge or, in cases, and the governor could change, his plan. Right now, he has schools opened. In March, he shut them down. So again, we're making a decision based on what we know now on August 13th. And we don't know what's going to be August 14th and every day beyond then until the day instruction is determined to begin. Now, instruction will start on September 16th. If we have to be in remote, it will start remotely. So September 16th, that's why they're wording it instruction. It doesn't, we don't know in-person, hybrid, or remote, but instruction will start. But I guess I just will stress one last time that parents need to understand, and to the school committee and from those of us working on this and been working on all summer, that we can plan for the model, but if the metrics change, we have to pivot. And that's why, having a strong remote model to be able to transition easily and to have it be more robust and more like an in-person model as much as we can. We'll never replicate an in-person model without being in person, but we certainly know that, I think we did an excellent job with remote last time, but we also know that there wasn't a lot of time for teachers to plan, and it was an emergency, and we shifted, and our teachers, I've said it over and over again, did a fabulous job doing that. But we know what we've learned from it. We know where we need to do better, and that is in our plan.
Great.
Thank you very much. And the delay for the start of school is so that it can be planned and worked out, and not instant switchover, which is what we had before. And I have quoted Cheryl Simmons a number of times from one of our meetings, and she is in education, and she said normally we would study this for 3 years. We would have a year of demonstration, and then we'd think about it. And we'd do it And so I have quoted her many times on that. And I think the staff and everyone has done a fantastic job in an emergency situation. And I can think of other emergencies that would not have caused as much upheaval as this one has. So I think we have a lot of information, and if the committee has anything more they'd like to ask or bring out, I would just mention that I think it's very important that that everybody in our district has full and adequate computer contact. And we're working towards that with the Chromebooks, and then we'll be working on making sure everybody gets their house turned on so that they can take advantage of it. So thank you very much. And I would like to move on since it's approaching 9 o'clock and we have been doing this since 5:30. The school committee might want to move on. If anybody else has anything, I like the one from Brian Goodman here. It says, well said, Dr. Malone. And Stephanie Peterson said, thank you. Is there anything else anybody would like to bring up, Mr. Cleary or Mr. Briggs, with the jobs that they're doing that they'd like to put some other information in? I'm not seeing that. I would like to close this discussion and move on to the rest of the agenda. Is there any objections to that? Okay, this is a discussion, so it doesn't require a vote, and we will close the discussion and move on to the rest of the agenda. We have number 12 is subcommittee reports. Mr. Leone, do you have anything from the Diversity and Equity Subcommittee?
I have a lot. We have a meeting tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, and people are all welcome to attend. We have a very full agenda. We want to make sure that we define our terms, put together our mission statement and vision. We want to look at our survey that we are planning on putting out to faculty and staff and students. And that will help us determine where we want to go from there. We're talking about potential professional development with respect to equity and diversity. And yeah, so you can see the agenda and you can come. Erica and Michelle are the other co-chairs, and they're fabulous, and they're going to do a great job. And I think this committee will do a lot for our system, with respect to equity and diversity.
Thank you, Joe. So that's tomorrow night at 7 o'clock on Zoom. Mr. Quinty is not here tonight, so I don't think we have any policy subcommittee things. I had chairman's notes, but I'm going to hold them until the next meeting. And I would call for any other topics for discussion not anticipated in 48 hours in advance of this meeting. Is there anything in that category? Hearing none. What are our communications?
Oh boy. First night as a secretary, and I'm not doing well. I don't think we actually, we've had any, we've had emails from parents, certainly, that have been addressed, and thank you to Ms. Simmons for taking the time to respond to those. Just if there are any parents on what we did do email us, just as a practice, we typically defer to the chair or the vice chair to respond to those. So you may not see email responses from all of us if you do email us, but I just like to remind people of that. But I do not see any other any communications otherwise.
We could bring up that the Holden Wood Run is been canceled.
Hey, that wasn't public yet, but that's okay.
Well, I just want to urge everybody to remember that these events are to support our education, and if they want to make donations, Michelle, in lieu of doing the run, how would they do that?
Can I answer? for you, Michelle?
Sure, go ahead.
All right. So what we're going to do here in the next couple days is we're going to do a T-shirt fundraiser. So you'll still be able to buy the T-shirts that we had originally planned to do. We're in the process of getting that set up so we can do it via PayPal and still give some money to ASAF best we can. We're also doing, you can, on that sign-up sheet, the order form that we're having, we will have just a straight donation if you don't want the shirt. And then we're also going to continue to ask our sponsors for, if they are so inclined, to donate as well. That would be great. But yeah, so basically just a T-shirt sale, and get out and exercise and take pictures and put them on our Facebook page. We'd love to see you out in your Bermuda Mint shirts this year.
So there's all kinds of wonderful communications. I just
There
have
you
to
go.
applaud you a little bit.
There you go. Thank you, Joyce.
Okay. So that would be the end of our agenda, and I would take a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 8:50 p.m.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Oh, I guess we have to have a vote. Sorry, Michelle. I didn't mean to cut you out of your job.
Okay. Mr. DeForge?
Aye.
Mrs. Granger?
Aye.
Mr. Leone?
Aye.
Mrs. Reshoots?
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons?
Oh,
Mrs.
aye.
Simmons.
Thank you very much, and everybody's attention and everyone who attended. This really is awesome, and I'm thinking that this may be one of the most important things that we ever do. It's far-reaching, and thank you all, and we will see you again.